All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. So you're getting ready for a ceramicist interview, huh?
That's right.
And we're going to give you the knowledge and strategies to totally crush it.
Yeah.
We've got RoleCatcher's career and interview guides to help us out here.
Yeah, those will be super helpful.
And of course, they're awesome AI.
Can't forget that.
Before we get to the interview questions, though, can you give us a quick rundown of what a ceramicist actually does?
Sure. A ceramicist is like a mix of artist and craftsperson. They use clay to make all kinds of things.
Okay.
Sculptures, jewelry, tableware, tiles, you name it. And more, they're even using like cutting edge tech in their work, 3D printing even.
3D printing with clay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just your grandma's pottery anymore.
Yeah.
Let's jump into those interview questions. First up, a classic. What inspired you to become a ceramicist? Seems simple, but what are interviewers really trying to figure out with this one?
I think they're looking for that spark, that real passion for the craft,
Yeah.
you know? They want to hear your story, get a sense of what drives your creativity, but, and this is key, try to connect your inspiration to the bigger picture. Like, are you drawn to how sustainable ceramics are?
Okay.
Or are you fascinated by how technology is changing the field? Bringing in those elements shows you're aware of industry trends and that you're thinking ahead.
So it's not just about passion. It's about showing you're informed and you're thinking about where the field is going.
Exactly. For example, if you're inspired by the eco-friendly aspects of ceramics, you could talk about how that's influenced your materials or how you explore traditional low-impact techniques.
Oh, that's a great tip. So it's about showcasing your passion while also showing your knowledge.
Yeah.
And that you're on the same page with the company or studio's values.
Hmm.
What are some traps to avoid with this question? I know I can ramble on when I'm talking about something I'm passionate about.
Oh, yeah. Rambling is a common one. Keep your answer short and to the point. Don't go off on tangents about hobbies or experiences that aren't related.
Right.
And try not to be too generic. Saying you just love clay isn't going to make you stand out.
Right.
Instead, talk about a specific moment, a specific experience that really lit that fire for you. Maybe a childhood memory of playing with clay, or an artist whose work really moved you.
That makes sense. It's about finding that one detail that makes your story unique and sticks in their mind.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you refine your answers. Make sure they're concise, impactful, and tailored to the job you're going for.
Oh, wow.
You can record yourself answering the question and then get feedback on your pacing, how clearly you speak, even your body language.
Wow, that's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Exactly. And it can help you spot areas for improvement, like reducing filler words or making your body language more confident.
Right, right. Okay, next question. How do you approach a new project?
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is all about showing off your creative process.
Yeah, for sure. Interviewers want to get inside your head, see how you think, how you solve problems, how you take an idea and make it real. Are you a meticulous planner, sketching every detail? Or are you more intuitive, diving right into the clay and seeing where it takes you?
Hmm. And are both approaches okay?
Oh, absolutely. The important thing is to explain your process clearly and with confidence. Highlight your organizational skills, your adaptability, and your commitment to quality.
Okay.
That you're dedicated to a high-quality final product.
The Ceramicist Career Guide from RoleCatcher mentions different responsibilities at different stages in your career. Should we keep that in mind when answering?
You know, that's a really good point. Tailoring your answer to the specific job is key. If it's an entry-level position, you might want to focus on being eager to learn and collaborate.
Right.
If it's a senior role, you can highlight your experience leading projects and managing teams.
So, showing that you understand the industry and the demands of that particular role, what are some things to avoid saying for this question?
Try not to be too vague. Saying you just go with the flow isn't going to impress anyone. Be specific about your steps, whether it's research, sketching, prototyping, testing techniques.
Okay.
Show them you can handle the hiccups. How do you get over creative blocks? How do you take feedback?
Yeah.
Demonstrate those problem-solving skills.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about showing you can handle the challenges of a real project.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI can be a big help here too, right?
Oh, for sure. It can take your answer and suggest ways to make it more compelling and relevant to the job you're after. Maybe it'll remind you to mention a project where you overcame a challenge.
Okay.
Or it might suggest highlighting experience with a particular software or technique that's mentioned in the job description.
That's super valuable. It's like having a personalized feedback system that's always working to make your answers better.
Okay, on to question number 3. How do you ensure your work is unique and stands out in the market? This one feels tricky. Like, you need to be confident, but also humble.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
Yeah. But remember, they're not asking you to brag. They want to understand what makes your work different. What themes or styles do you lean towards? What techniques have you mastered? Do you have a signature glaze or a particular way you approach form that sets you apart?
So it's about explaining your artistic vision and showing off your strengths.
Exactly. And you can bring it back to your inspiration, too. Is there something about your background or your journey as an artist that shaped your style? Maybe you're drawn to traditional techniques from your culture, or perhaps you're inspired by nature and bring organic forms into your work.
Well, that's a nice way to connect your personal story to your artistic vision,
Hmm.
and it shows how deep your creative process goes. The RoleCatcher Guide talks a lot about developing a personal style. How does that play into this question?
It's super important. Interviewers want to see that you're not just skilled, but you have your own voice, a clear artistic direction. Talk about how you cultivate that personal style, whether it's through experimentation, research, or getting inspiration from different sources. Maybe you've created a signature glaze or have a unique way you decorate surfaces. Emphasize those elements that make your work stand out.
So it's about showing your individuality and that you're dedicated to developing your own artistic language. Are there any traps to avoid here? I can see myself falling into the trap of comparing myself to other artists.
Yeah, comparison can be a real creativity killer.
Yeah.
Focus on your own work, your own strengths. Don't put down other artists or make grand statements about originality. Instead, articulate your unique approach and what makes your work special.
Great advice. And again, I can see where RoleCatcher's AI could be really helpful, giving feedback on your tone and making sure you come across as confident but not arrogant.
You got it. It can analyze your words, your tone of voice, even your facial expressions to help you get that balance just right.
That's so valuable. It's like having a virtual coach helping you refine your presentation and make the best impression possible.
Exactly.
All right, on to question 4. How do you manage your time and prioritize your projects?
This one feels a little intimidating. Honestly, I'm not always the most organized person.
Hey, no worries. Time management is a skill you can learn and get better at. And how you answer this question can actually show how self-aware you are and that you're committed to always improving.
Okay. So are they looking for a specific system? Should I be talking about like Gantt charts and productivity apps?
Not necessarily. Focus on the principles behind good time management. Do you break big projects down into smaller chunks?
Right.
Do you prioritize based on deadlines? Do you use tools like calendars or to-do lists? The key is to show that you have a system that works for you
Okay.
and that you're proactive about managing your time well.
So it's about proving you're organized and capable of handling a fast-paced, creative environment. Exactly. And if you're thinking of running your own studio or freelancing, this question becomes even more important.
Oh, right.
Highlight that you can juggle projects, meet deadlines, manage your time to keep a steady workflow.
The RoleCatcher Guide mentions that running your own business is a possible path for ceramicists. How would we tie that in to our answer?
That's a great point. If you're interested in the entrepreneurial side of ceramics, emphasize any experience you have managing budgets, marketing your work, handling the admin stuff that comes with running a business.
So it's about showing that you understand the business side of being a ceramicist.
Yeah.
What are some things to avoid saying here? I'm tempted to downplay my organizational struggles, but I'm guessing honesty is important.
Honesty is key, but frame it in a positive light. You could say something like, I'm constantly working on getting more organized, and I've started using strategies like, and list those strategies to help me stay on track.
Yeah.
Focus on solutions, not problems, and steer clear of vague answers like, I just get things done. Be specific, give examples, show you can actually manage your time well.
Great advice. And one more time, RoleCatcher's AI can probably be helpful here too, right?
Absolutely. It can look at what you've said and suggest ways to rephrase things if they sound too defensive or sensitive.
Right. That's really valuable. It's like having a therapist for your interview jitters, helping you see challenges in a positive light.
I like that.
Okay, question 5. What is your experience with different types of clay? This is where things get technical.
It is. It's also a chance to show off your passion and your deep knowledge of your craft.
Oh, good.
Don't just rattle off a laundry list of every clay you've ever touched. Focus on the clays that are relevant to the job and show you understand their unique properties.
So if the studio specializes in porcelain, we should highlight our experience with that specific clay.
Exactly. Talk about how translucent it is, its delicate handling, the specific techniques you've used to make detailed pieces with porcelain. If they mostly work with stoneware, talk about its durability, its suitability for functional wear, and your experience firing it at different temperatures to get the finishes you want.
So it's about tailoring your answer to what the studio or company needs. Any pitfalls to avoid here? I can see it being easy to get bogged down in technical terms.
Yeah, technical jargon can be a trap. Aim for a balance between showing what you know and keeping your answer understandable for someone who's not a clay expert. Explain technical stuff in simple terms, give real-world examples, and focus on your practical experience.
Great advice. I bet RoleCatcher's AI can be useful here again, right?
Oh, absolutely. It can flag any confusing terms and suggest how to make your answers more engaging and understandable. It might even point out any gaps in your knowledge, encouraging you to research specific clay types or techniques that could be relevant to the job.
That's incredibly valuable. It's like having a personalized study guide to help you be fully prepared for any technical questions. Moving on to question 6. How do you incorporate different textures and finishes into your work? This feels like a chance to get creative and show off your artistic flair.
It definitely is. This is where you can let your passion really come through. Talk about the tools you use to create textures, the glazes you play with to get unique finishes, and the firing techniques you use to manipulate the surface.
So things like carving, stamping, using different brushes, layering glazes, experimenting with firing temperatures, all of that.
Exactly. And don't just list them off. Describe a specific project where you used a particular texture or finish to get a certain effect. Explain your thought process, the challenges you faced, and the satisfaction of seeing your vision come to life.
Oh, that's a great way to make your answer more interesting and pull the interviewer into your creative process. Speaking of engaging, the RoleCatcher Guide mentions that there's a growing demand for eco-friendly ceramics. How could we weave that into our answer?
Oh, that's a fantastic point. If sustainability is something you're passionate about, this is your time to shine.
Right.
Talk about your experience with eco-friendly glazes, your exploration of different firing methods, or using recycled materials. It shows you're not just skilled, but also environmentally conscious.
That's a great way to show that you're on the same page as studios or companies that value sustainability. Okay, what should we avoid saying for this question? It seems easy to get caught up in the technical details and lose sight of the bigger picture.
Details are important, but don't overload the interviewer with jargon. Keep it clear and accessible, focusing on the artistic impact of your choices. And don't be too vague.
Right.
Instead of saying, I just like to experiment, describe the specific techniques you've tried and the results you got.
That's great advice. RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful here, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It can suggest ways to make your answers more vivid and engaging while making sure you're highlighting the skills and experience that are most relevant to the job.
Okay, question 7. How do you stay current with trends in the industry and incorporate them into your work? This feels particularly important in a field like ceramics, where new techniques and materials are always coming out.
Absolutely. This Cronin is all about showing you're dedicated to continuous learning and that you can adapt to a constantly changing field.
Okay.
Are you reading industry publications?
Right.
Going to conferences? Following influential ceramicists online? Show that you're plugged into the wider ceramic community.
So it's about proving you're not just skilled, but also curious and engaged with how the craft is evolving.
Exactly. And it's not about blindly following trends. It's about being thoughtful and choosing the trends that fit your personal style
Okay.
and incorporating them in a way that feels genuine to you.
So, for example, if we're into the growing popularity of biomorphic forms, we could talk about how we've been trying to incorporate those forms into our work while still keeping our own unique aesthetic.
That's a perfect example. Show them you're aware of the trends, but you're using them as inspiration for your own creativity, not as a substitute for it.
Okay, what are some things to avoid saying for this question? It seems easy to fall into the trap of mentioning trends we don't really understand just to sound cool.
Name-dropping trends can backfire. Be genuine, be specific, and focus on the trends you've actually engaged with and used in your work. And don't sound like you're chasing trends just for the sake of it. The point is to show that you're using trends to fuel your own exploration and push the boundaries of your craft.
That's great advice. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can be helpful here.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. It can nudge you to be specific about the trends you mention and give you ideas for how to connect those trends back to your own artistic journey. It can even analyze how you sound and how you're speaking to make sure you come across as enthusiastic and knowledgeable without sounding like a know-it-all.
That's incredibly valuable. It's like having a virtual coach helping you refine your message and present yourself in the best possible light.
It is.
Okay, question 8. How do you handle feedback from customers or peers? This one can be tough, especially for artists who are naturally protective of their work.
Yeah, it can be. But it's a really important question that tells the interviewer a lot about your professionalism and your ability to grow as an artist. They want to see that you're open to constructive criticism,
Okay.
that you can separate your ego from your work, and that you value outside opinions.
So are they expecting us to just roll over and take any feedback that's thrown our way?
Not at all. It's about demonstrating a mature, balanced approach. Can you listen, really listen, even when the feedback isn't easy to hear?
Hmm.
Can you find the truth in it, even if the criticism isn't perfectly worded? Can you use feedback to make your work better without losing your own artistic vision?
It sounds like it's about finding that balance between being open to feedback and staying true to yourself.
Exactly. You can talk about how you tell the difference between subjective opinions and helpful critiques. How do you focus on the feedback that aligns with your artistic goals? How do you use it to improve your craft? Sharing examples of times you successfully incorporated feedback can really show your maturity and professionalism.
That makes sense. It's about showing them we can take feedback well and use it to learn and grow. The RoleCatcher Guide talks about how many ceramic studios are collaborative. How can we work that into our answer?
Oh, if you've worked collaboratively, definitely highlight that. Talk about how you've learned to value your peers' opinions,
Oh.
how you've used their feedback to improve your work, and how those collaborations have helped you grow as an artist. It shows that you can work well in a team and that you're willing to learn from others.
So it's about showing our collaborative spirit and our ability to use different viewpoints to make our work better. What should we avoid saying here? It's tempting to complain about negative feedback experiences.
Avoid negativity like the plague. Focus on the positive. Talk about how feedback, even the tough kind, has made you a better artist.
Yeah.
And don't make sweeping statements like, I always take feedback well.
Right.
Be specific, give concrete examples, and show that you can handle feedback gracefully and professionally.
Great advice. And again, I can see how RoleCatcher's AI could be useful, analyzing our tone and suggesting ways to rephrase anything that sounds defensive.
Absolutely. It can also encourage you to focus on the positive side of feedback, or maybe suggest highlighting a specific instance where you used feedback to make a significant improvement in your work.
That's amazing. It's like a virtual therapist for your interview anxieties, helping you reframe those challenging situations.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, question 9. How do you price your work? This is a tough one, especially for artists who are often told they undervalue their work.
It's a question that makes a lot of artists uncomfortable. What are they really after here? Do they expect us to have a complicated pricing formula memorized?
They're not looking for a rigid formula. They want to see that you're thoughtful and strategic about your pricing.
Okay.
Do you factor in your material costs, the time you invest, your skill level, and the demand for your type of work? Interviewers want to see that you value your work appropriately and that you understand the business side of being a ceramicist.
It sounds like it's about finding a balance between valuing your work fairly and being competitive.
Precisely. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Yeah.
Your pricing might change depending on the type of work you create, who your target market is, and your overall business goals.
The RoleCatcher Guide mentions that income can be unpredictable for a ceramicist. Should we talk about that on our answer?
You know, acknowledging that pricing artwork can be tricky in a fluctuating market can show that you're mature and understand the realities of the business.
Right.
But balance that by emphasizing your strategies for having some stability with income. Do you offer a range of price points with both high-end and more affordable pieces? Do you build a loyal customer base through commissions or workshops? Show that you're proactive and resourceful.
So it's about demonstrating your business sense and proving you're not just an artist, but an entrepreneur as well. What should we try to avoid saying? I know I tend to undersell myself, especially when I'm eager to make a sale.
Underselling yourself is a classic mistake. Remember, your prices reflect the value of your skills and time.
Right.
But on the flip side, don't come off as arrogant or out of touch with what the market will bear. Do your research, understand typical pricing for your kind of work, and present a clear and justified pricing strategy.
That's great advice. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful here, right?
Absolutely. It can pick up on keywords in your answer related to pricing and then suggest specific examples or data points to make your response stronger. It might remind you to mention your research into market pricing or suggest a more confident way to express the value you bring.
That's so valuable.
Hmm.
It's like having a virtual business consultant helping you get your pricing strategy right and present it in a professional way.
Exactly.
Okay, last question. How do you promote your work and reach potential customers?
Ah.
This one can be daunting, especially for artists who are more comfortable creating than being in the spotlight.
It can be intimidating,
Yeah.
but it's essential for building a successful career as a ceramicist. Interviewers want to see that you're proactive about getting your work out there, that you're okay with putting yourself out there, and that you're willing to explore different ways to connect with potential customers.
So are they expecting us to have a full-blown marketing plan with detailed social media strategies and email campaigns?
Not necessarily. It's more about showing that you understand the different ways you can promote your work
Okay.
and that you're willing to try new things. Do you have a website or an online portfolio? Do you participate in craft fairs or exhibitions? Do you use social media to connect with people? Do you collaborate with other artists or businesses? Highlight what you've already done and any successes you've had.
So it's about showing that you're entrepreneurial and that you get how important it is to connect with your audience.
Exactly. And it's about being genuine in your marketing. Focus on the platforms and approaches that feel right for you and your work. Don't force yourself to do something just because it's trendy if it doesn't feel authentic.
The RoleCatcher Guide also mentions that networking is important for career growth. Can we tie that into our answer?
For sure.
Yeah.
Networking is huge in the art world. Talk about how you've built relationships with other artists, gallery owners, shop owners through networking events, online communities, or collaborations. You can even mention any wins you've had through networking, like landing exhibition opportunities or commissions.
So it's about showing our ability to build relationships and use those connections to promote our work.
Okay, any pitfalls to avoid here? It seems easy to either brag too much or focus too much on just one approach.
Balance is key.
Don't be afraid to highlight your accomplishments, but don't sound arrogant or like you think your way is the only way. And don't limit yourself to just one strategy.
Okay.
Show them you're open to exploring different options, both online and offline.
That's great advice. And again, RoleCatcher's AI can be helpful here, right?
Absolutely. It can look at your answer and suggest ways to showcase your marketing strengths and your unique approach to reaching people. Maybe it'll nudge you to mention a specific win you had on a particular platform, or to describe a collaboration that helped you reach a wider audience.
That's incredible. It's like having a virtual marketing consultant working behind the scenes to make you look as good as possible. And speaking of putting our best foot forward, let's talk about how RoleCatcher's AI can be our secret weapon for more than just interview questions. What about crafting a killer CV and cover letter?
Oh, for sure. RoleCatcher isn't just about information.
Yeah.
It's got AI-powered tools that can help you tailor your application to each job, highlighting the skills and experience that employers care about the most.
Okay, so how does that work? I'm really curious.
Imagine this. You find a ceramicist job posting you're super excited about. You upload your CV and the job description to RoleCatcher, and its AI looks at both of them, figuring out the keywords and skills the employer is really looking for. Then it suggests specific changes you can make to your CV to make it the best fit for that role.
So it's like a personal career coach, but AI powered. That's amazing.
Exactly. And the coolest part is it's so easy to use, you don't need to be a tech expert.
Okay.
It guides you through each step, giving you clear and actionable suggestions. It can even help you spot any skills gaps on your CV so you know where to focus your efforts to become a more competitive candidate.
That's incredible. So it's not just about making your CV look fancy. It's about strategically making it match the specific job.
Exactly. It's about using AI to your advantage to make sure the right people notice your CV. And the same goes for your cover letter.
Oh, right, of course.
RoleCatcher can help you tailor that to each job, too, highlighting your most relevant skills and experience in a way that's compelling and persuasive.
This seems especially helpful in a field like ceramics, where your portfolio is so important, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your CV and cover letter are your first chance to make a good impression. They let you showcase your skills and your artistic vision.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI can help you create application materials that don't just show off your technical skills,
Right.
but also capture the essence of your artistry.
That's so valuable. It's like having a virtual PR team working behind the scenes to make you look your best.
That's a good way to put it. And remember, all of this is designed to help you land that dream job and use your unique talents to make a contribution to the world of ceramics.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay, I'm listening.
The guide mentions how there's this growing demand for eco-friendly ceramics. It made me wonder, How could you, as a ceramicist, incorporate sustainability into your work?
Oh, that's a great question to think about.
What unique materials or techniques could you explore?
Not only does it show you're aware of important trends, but it also shows your commitment to responsible and ethical practices.
Exactly. And it could lead to a really interesting conversation with the interviewer, showing how forward-thinking you are and how passionate you are about the future of ceramics.
That's a great point. It could be the perfect way to make a lasting impression and stand out from the crowd.
So to wrap up this deep dive, we encourage you to think about how you can leave your mark on the world, not just as a skilled ceramicist, but as a mindful and innovative artist.
The world of ceramics is always changing, and it's really exciting to imagine what the future holds.
We hope this deep dive is giving you the knowledge and inspiration you need to ace your interview and start a fulfilling and successful career as a ceramicist.
Remember, you've got the talent, the passion, and now you've got the tools. Go make those dreams happen.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Best of luck on your journey.
And remember, the world of ceramics is waiting for your unique contributions.
And now it's time for a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment to continue our deep dive into becoming a ceramicist.
Yeah, it's an exciting field with so much potential.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to question number 9. How do you handle feedback from customers or peers? This one can be a bit tricky, especially for artists who are very protective of their work.
Yeah, it can be a sensitive area, but it's a crucial question. It reveals a lot about you as a professional, your ability to grow as an artist. They want to see that you're open to constructive criticism, that you can separate your ego from your work,
Right.
And that you actually value those outside perspectives.
So are they expecting us to just be pushovers, like accept any feedback that comes our way?
Not at all. It's about having a mature and balanced approach to feedback. Can you listen actively, even when it stings a bit? Can you find those nuggets of truth, even in feedback that might not be phrased perfectly? And can you use that feedback to elevate your work without compromising your artistic vision?
Feels like finding a balance between being receptive and staying true to yourself.
Exactly. You can talk about how you distinguish between personal opinions and actual constructive critiques. How do you prioritize feedback that aligns with your goals? How do you use feedback as a tool to refine your craft? Sharing specific instances of how you've taken feedback and incorporated it into your work, that can really demonstrate maturity and professionalism.
That makes sense. It's about showing them that we can handle feedback with grace and use it to grow. The RoleCatcher Guide emphasizes how collaborative a lot of ceramic studios are. How can we connect that to our answer?
Yeah, if you've worked in a collaborative setting, definitely highlight that. Talk about how you've learned to value the insights of your peers.
Right.
How you've taken their feedback and used it in your work.
Okay.
And how those collaborations have actually made you a better artist. It demonstrates your teamwork skills and that you're willing to learn from others.
So it's about showing that collaborative spirit, that ability to take different ideas and use them to improve.
Okay. Any pitfalls to avoid with this question? I mean, it's tempting to rant about negative feedback experiences, but...
Stay away from negativity.
Yeah.
Keep it positive. Talk about how feedback, even the tough kind, has helped you grow. And don't make broad statements like, I always take feedback well. Be specific. Give real examples. Show them you can handle feedback gracefully and professionally.
Good advice. And I'm going to guess RoleCatcher's AI can be helpful with this one too.
Oh, absolutely. It can analyze what you say and suggest ways to rephrase anything that sounds defensive or overly sensitive.
That's awesome. It's like having a therapist for interview anxieties, helping you put a positive spin on things. I like that analogy. Okay, moving on to question number 10. How do you price your work? This can be a tough one, especially for artists who often hear that they're undercharging for their time and skill.
It's definitely a question that makes a lot of artists squirm.
No.
What are interviewers looking for here? Do they expect us to have a complicated pricing formula memorized?
It's not about having a rigid formula.
Okay.
It's about showing that you put thought into your pricing and have a strategy.
Okay.
Do you take into account your material costs, your time, your skill level, and the demand for your type of work? Interviewers want to see that you value your work appropriately and that you understand the business side of being a ceramicist.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between knowing your worth and staying competitive in the market.
Exactly. There's no magic formula, Your pricing might change depending on the piece, your target market, and your overall business goals.
The RoleCatcher Guide mentions that income can be inconsistent for a ceramicist. Should we address that in our answer?
Acknowledging those challenges can show that you're mature and understand the realities of the art market.
Right.
But try to balance it out by highlighting your strategies for, maintaining a steady income.
Okay.
Do you offer a range of prices, maybe some high-end pieces, and some that are more affordable? Do you work on building a loyal customer base through commissions or workshops? Show that you're proactive and resourceful.
So showcasing that business savvy, proving that you're not just an artist, but also an entrepreneur. What are some pitfalls to avoid here? I'm definitely guilty of underselling myself, especially when I'm eager to make a sale.
Underselling is a common mistake. Remember, your price tag should reflect the value of your skills and your time.
Right. Okay.
And on the other hand, don't sound arrogant or unrealistic about what the market can handle. Do your research, know what other artists are charging for similar work, and present a pricing strategy that's clear and makes sense.
That's great advice. And I'm sensing a theme here. RoleCatcher's AI could probably lend a hand with this one too.
Absolutely. It can look for keywords related to pricing strategies and then suggest specific examples or data you can use to back up your answer. It might even encourage you to talk about your research into market prices or suggest a more confident way to talk about the value you bring to your work.
That's fantastic. It's like having a virtual business consultant helping you get your pricing right and present it professionally.
Exactly. It's all about using the tools we have to present our best selves.
Okay, ready for the final question. This one's about marketing and outreach. How do you promote your work and reach potential customers? Now, this can be intimidating, especially for artists who are more at home in the studio than in the spotlight.
Oh, I can relate to that. It can be a bit daunting. But it's a crucial part of building a successful career as a ceramicist. Interviewers want to see that you're proactive, that you're comfortable putting your work out there, and that you're open to exploring different ways to reach potential customers.
So are they looking for a full-on marketing plan with detailed social media strategies and email campaigns?
No, not necessarily a full-blown plan.
Okay.
It's more about demonstrating that you understand the different avenues for promoting your work and that you're willing to try different approaches.
Okay.
Do you have a website, an online portfolio? Do you do craft fairs or exhibitions? Do you use social media?
Right.
Do you collaborate with other artists or businesses? Highlight the things you've tried and the successes you've had.
So it's about showing that entrepreneurial spirit and understanding the importance of connecting with your audience.
Exactly. And it's about being authentic in your marketing efforts. Stick to the platforms and methods that feel right for you and your work. Don't force yourself to do something just because it's popular if it feels phony.
The RoleCatcher Guide talks about networking as being key for career advancement. Can we tie that into our answer here?
Absolutely. Networking is so important in the art world. Talk about how you've built relationships with other artists, gallery owners, shop owners, maybe through networking events, online groups, or collaborations. You can even mention any specific successes that came from networking, like getting exhibition opportunities or commissions.
So showcasing our ability to build relationships and leverage those connections to promote our work. What are some things we should avoid saying to this question? It seems easy to either sound like we're bragging or to get too focused on one approach.
You're right. Balance is key.
Okay.
Don't shy away from highlighting your wins, but try not to sound like you're boasting or like your way is the only way. And don't limit yourself to just one method.
Okay.
Show them you're open to different avenues for promotion, both online and offline.
Great advice. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say next. RoleCatcher's AI can probably help us out here too.
You know it. It can analyze your answer and point out areas where you might be underselling yourself. And it can offer suggestions for how to reframe your experiences to make them sound stronger. Maybe it'll remind you to mention a specific success you had on a certain platform or to describe a collaboration that broadened your reach.
Wow, that's really impressive. It's like having a personal marketing consultant helping you polish your message and present yourself in the best light.
It's a powerful tool. And speaking of putting our best foot forward, let's switch gears and talk about another way RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer. Not just for answering interview questions, but for creating a killer CV and cover letter.
Ooh, okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's like having a secret weapon in your back pocket for the whole job application process.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
It's their AI feedback for practicing how you answer interview questions.
Okay.
So it's not just about having a list of possible questions, it's about getting advice tailored just for you on how you deliver your answers and what you say.
Personalized feedback.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds really useful.
Hmm.
I know I get nervous in interviews. Sometimes I ramble or lose my train of thought. How does it actually work?
It's kind of like having a mock interview with an expert coach.
Okay.
You record yourself answering some of those key questions we talked about.
Hmm.
Then you upload that recording to RoleCatcher, and its AI analyzes your responses.
So can it actually tell if I'm fidgeting or making too much eye contact?
It can.
Wow.
It gives you specific feedback on everything, from how clearly and concisely you speak to your body language and tone of voice.
That's so cool.
Ah.
I can definitely see how useful that would be, especially for someone like me who tends to get flustered in interviews.
Yeah, it's particularly helpful in a field like ceramics where passion and creativity are so important, you know? Being able to convey those qualities and how you communicate can really make a difference.
So it's not just what you say, but how you say it. It's about letting your enthusiasm and your knowledge really come through.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI can help you with that. It can help you polish how you come across, build your confidence, and ultimately present yourself as the ideal candidate.
This is incredible. RoleCatcher really goes above and beyond. It gives you information and the tools to help you really succeed.
It really does. We've gone over a ton of specific questions and techniques today, but the most important thing is to just be yourself.
I love that. Authenticity is so important.
Let your passion shine through, showcase your unique skills and experiences, and don't be afraid to let your personality come through.
That's what will make you truly stand out. Remember, you've got the talent, the passion, and now you have the tools. It's time to make those dreams a reality.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of ceramics and the art of acing that interview.
Best of luck with your journey.
And remember, the world of ceramics is waiting for your unique contributions.